Happy Sunday, everybody. We got a packed show, very AI heavy. Speaking of AI found its first 0 day.
Woo.
Reaper announces, Go Security announces Reaper, and Google says 25% of their code is AI generated.
Oh my God. All right. He's Mike. I'm Steve, and welcome to Wired In.
Yes. Happy Sunday. We got 10 articles for you, 10 breakdowns from yours truly. It's going to be fun.
It was tough to pick these 10. All the articles are described below. Hit the bell to be notified when we go live. So, shall we dive straight in?
Let's do it. Project Zero.
Yeah, I love the code names for their projects. It was nap time to big sleep. I didn't understand it, and then I realized that's actually what they call their agent, their AI agent. Yeah, and they were using SQLite. I'm going to jump straight into this because it's near and dear to my heart. Anytime you discover a null pointer dereference, it brings me back to my C programming days as a youth and how often I created those. But it's just executing a form of fuzz testing and poking holes in, I guess, our industry use of fuzz testing through OSS fuzz and other fuzz techniques that have features you can turn on but aren't on by default. That maybe could have found this a long time ago, but let's just throw some AI at it, and suddenly we're finding some major vulnerabilities, and we're calling it a win. I like how this is framed like super positive, because if we do this in advance, then baddies won't find it, right? In a shift left kind of way, this is a positive, but the other perspective could be that the same technology could be used on every single everyday open source or non-open source package out there. To me, it just says the baddies should be doing this too.
Yes, the AI wars have begun. It is interesting that it's an addition to existing fuzz testing. I don't think that the existing types of testing is going to go away because humans still want that general format that they're used to, and they have to check it right with tools that they know are pretty accurate. So it seems like it's an additional service that some of these fuzzing tools are going to add on, right? Like these SAST and app security tools where we already have an existing product that works very well. Let's just add an extra scan with AI to make sure that we catch anything that we might have missed. Just like our attackers are going to do the same thing on our code.
Yeah, I think the creativity the AI brings has really, really huge impact on just the way fuzz testing is designed. So it's gonna be cool. Or dangerous.
Oh, dangerous. Yeah. Speaking of a curated list of LLM security tools, you found this one.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, actually. I was talking to some of the AI researchers this week and asking, is there just open source stuff I can use? And I got directed to this rather epic list of tools/projects for securing large language models, generally LLMs. That doesn't necessarily mean AI as a whole or AppSec as a whole, but it's pretty cool. And if you don't know where to start, it rolls down and it reorders them by the top 10 for LLMs we talked a little bit about last week. So you got prompt injection, plenty of options, almost too many to choose from. Insecure output handling, which is actually that's a little bit more nuanced, sensitive information disclosure, and of course, over reliance. Not sure how we test that one in an automated sense, but I think we're already there. It's pretty good. And I've been taking through just trying to play with some of them, but only so much time in the day.
And there's a controversial topic coming up in WTF that addresses open source LLMs.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Stay tuned. All right. Noma's building tools to spot security issues with AI apps. Like I said, it is very heavy. You found this one as well. What do you know about Noma?
Yeah, actually, let me roll it down. I know some people who work there or have been working there in stealth mode up until now. So I kind of knew this was coming. I've even had a conversation in the past with the CEO. He's like a first-time CEO, and if you look at his resume, of course, he goes back to being one of those IDF geniuses within security. He's got a really good pedigree for being pretty young. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but I'm going to go with like your age, Foster. Like he's probably 30 or something. He's got some great backing. I think upwards. Well, I can't remember what it says how much funding they've got. There it is. They're in 25 million total after their Series A, I think. Which is that's solid. AI
Mhm.
has money, and they are trying to come at AI. Oh no, it's 30. Yeah, there we go, 32 in total. Come at AI from the perspective of a larger, like a larger perspective, not just LLM, not just prompts, but like going, okay, well, if we back up a little bit and look at it from a more application perspective. So I think it's cool.
They're focusing more on tailored models,
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah. So I think it's a good idea, but I mean, there's a lot of competition out there. So
No kidding.
we'll see where it ends up.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, a lot of announcements. We have another announcement, Ghost Security introducing Reaper.
I have 2 tabs for this one. One, because
Okay.
this is Business Wire, and it's like, all right, yay, I get it. What sets it apart? It's looking at agentic AI, but what I think is just for us to get a comparison. When you roll down, it starts talking about like Burp Suite and Zap, and I think that's what it is. But it's like an AI generated for AI apps, Burp Suite and Zap. Because I got a little bit more information just by going like to the actual open source repository, which is why I like it, right? Or we
Mhm.
like it because it is open source, modern, lightweight. They're calling it deadly effective. I mean, I like that Reaper slashes through the complexities of app security testing, bringing together reconnaissance, request proxying, request tampering, blah blah blah. It looks like Burp. If you watch the demo, you can see all the exchanges and the conversations, but it's like it's got that AI edge to it. So it's pretty cool if you are somebody who uses those kind of tools, analyzing any of the API transactions or anything that's going on. I think you'd be crazy not to go give this a look.
Yeah, the purpose of this tool is to allow for human interaction as part of that testing process with an AI,
Right.
right? Instead of just giving it data and then running a bunch of tests after and then comparing the tests, it like sits there on top, helps you run those, helps you inject what you want to during that process, right? A little bit more hands-on. Is that a fair
Yeah,
description?
that is very fair.
Yeah, interesting. And I wonder if all right, now I gotta go test it out. Maybe we have a tool time because I'm kind of curious to see how many use cases and what models it works on. Very,
Yeah.
very neat. All right, last part or last article, at least in the normal section, Wiz has come out with their open source
No,
tool,
no,
Fix
no,
Android.
this isn't
Oh,
Wiz. This is open. All right, let me get into this because I
all
threw
right.
this in here. There's a few controversial elements of this. This is I called it open source Wiz because they called it open source Wiz. There's a company I never heard of called Fix Security. You can kind of see their connector here. Who I this came across my image. This came across my radar from a friend, so I didn't find this anywhere. I got sent this by a ex colleague who you know very well, um, who said he wasn't sure if he wanted me to name him or not. So I'm not, but because he found it because down here you see if you can read that we inventory for cloud and security engineers as an open source alternative to the proprietary tools like Orca, Prisma, and Wiz.
Mhm.
So this is where he was like, "What? An open source Wiz?" And even if you watch this is impossible to see on our screen, but if you go through and watch this little demo and you see what it does, it kind of does that OG Wiz agentless API um, visibility of your entire cloud resource inventory. Like it does what Wiz did in the beginning. And I was like, okay, that's a good point. It's just a graph database of all the connectivity of all your resources. So you have
Hmm.
that visibility from a security perspective, and they've done it open source, worth looking at. Now, where I was like, huh, how is this? This is my research, the first commit 2020. This didn't just pop out of nowhere.
Wow.
Also, if you looked at the statement about the Wiz and the Orc and the Prisma, which did a great job on SEO of getting attention, if you drop main to their recent release, which is 4.10, and flip the context and you go look at their README, totally different. They just added that line last week.
Wow.
It's not there. And I was like, okay, they've done this is a little bit of a marketing move
Hmm.
that added that. And like very, very, very cool. And then I looked at the license AGPL 3.0, which I'm like, oh, wah, wah, wah. Like it's GPL. So if you use it, you have to open source everything. It's a
Yep.
dangerous license to try and use this in a commercial sense. So it effectively belongs to fixed security. Unless this is really bad. So you click on the license and it is a Pharaoh. I'm not sure how far back you got to go, but I'm going to go way back just to be sure. It's Apache.
Oh,
So at some point they took it from Apache to AGPL when they realized it was super cool.
and that somebody's going to fork it eventually.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of like, when did I don't know when that happened. I don't really care, but you could, if you were a dick, go back, find how good it was at some point, and fork it when it was still Apache, and be an AWS about it if you wanted to. But it looks really
Yeah.
cool. So I think fixed security is something to watch because they're making a move. They've got an open source inventory tool that I think is definitely one to watch.
Yeah, very interesting because you can use that tool, build a UI on top, start aggregating, correlating all the data, right? And then you basically have your CSPMs.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, crazy stuff. Yeah, so we've been talking a lot about AI today, specifically open source AI. And the Open Source Initiative has released its official definition of what an open artificial intelligence looks like. And
Mhm.
spoiler alert, you have to tell us what data you train it on, which almost none of the LLMs do right now.
Controversial.
Very controversial. Uh, I'm kind of shocked, but also not shocked, especially with the legal downstream effects of training on, for example, like specific code or data and then generating it, maybe getting sued for that later. So open source is like, we cannot recommend any specific LLM unless we know exactly what data it has been trained on and where the model has come from.
Mhm.
It definitely slows down development in open source, right? That's an extra training hurdle you have to go through.
Does anybody care?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously Meta's kicking off because I guess Llama, you get to use Llama and that's considered really good. And I think somewhere down here they're saying like it's really hard to not have some kind of I can't what was the word for it? Not copyright, but copyrighted material. Oh yes, it is.
Yeah.
So most AI models are almost certainly trained on copyrighted material. It's
Yes.
almost impossible for this not to be a thing. But to be able to say, here's all the training data. I mean, I'm coming from a perspective of thinking I would be kind of hesitant to just throw it out there because you should be really good about not having personal information or copyrighted material, all this kind of stuff in your training data. But man, that's not a straightforward move, particularly if you've already trained your awesome model and then someone later says, hey, you have to release all the training data. And you're like, nope.
Yeah, I do also think that there's definitely going to be an AI in the future that looks at other AIs for copyrighted material and then just will automate, like an automated email goes to the owner and says, you're getting sued. I think that will come,
Ooh,
right?
ooh, hot
Especially with
take.
things where it's like generation or any sort of music content, right? Like,
Yeah, that's
possibility.
a very good point. That's a very good point.
But by the way, you can use copyrighted material. You just have to pay for it, right? So like if you train an open source LLM, as long as it's like, hey, we paid Reddit for their, million terabytes of information, and then we trained a model on it, you can use this model now because of the negotiation. It's like, okay, fine. And any sort of enterprise that does this, that trains and actually, tells you what data it trains on, even if it's internal and maybe they like scrub it or something like that can all be used. It's just, it definitely slows down the development, but
Yeah, not a bad precedent, but I think a lot of the models have been thrown together pretty fast and loose without really that in mind.
Yes. Speaking of fast and loose,
I love this.
the Pentagon wants AI to enhance the capabilities of U.S. nuclear weapon systems. Do these people watch movies? Do we watch too many movies?
I don't know. Yeah. Well, this guy obviously not enough. Come on, hot potato.
And I
I
thought the
saw
whole
that.
point of having these outdated systems hooked up to the nuclear weapons meant that it was a lot harder to be hacked, right? Like they're basically off grid. They have to get a call in, just be verified. It's very old school, right?
Yeah, that would be almost reassuring.
Yeah. And so what are we doing now?
It's nuts. The very, very end of this made me giggle. In February, was it in February, researchers ran conflict situations with all the different models and found that the systems often escalated war. With GPT-4 said, "We have it, let's use it."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Well,
nothing to worry about. Let's go right back to that image again with the explosion. Nah. All right. What do we
okay.
what do we got
Yeah,
next on the roster?
captchas are getting defeated. So AI bots now beat 100% of those traffic image captchas.
I want to get one of those AI bots because I suck
Yeah.
at those things.
Seriously, it's better than me. I can never tell when they put somebody on the motorcycle and they say click the motorcycle, I'll just get like a bit of their leg. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
too much leg, not enough
What
motorcycle.
if I missed the mirror? The mirror of the bike went into another block, and what I look like an idiot. And they're so small.
Yeah, plus I jaywalk. Everything's a crosswalk. You can't use that one on me.
And that's really like you see how small it is right there, just as the demonstration. And this says crosswalks. This is legitimately how hard it is. It's like, is there a crosswalk? I don't know. This one's way in the distance. Yeah, I hate those things like so much. I am very proud of the AI bots and the fact that they did it, but you go into the whole YOLO thing, which actually stands for you only look once, not, you know what I mean, not the other definition of YOLO, and how they did all the percentage likelihoods, and they loved fire hydrants, but not so good at maybe it was the motorcycle. I'm like, yeah, well, I can do the fire hydrant. It's bright
Yeah,
red
the
or
palm
yellow.
tree. The palm tree was pretty low. So was the bridge.
Yeah. I mean, let's not give AI too much credit. It struggled with the stupid ones too.
Yeah.
But
Makes
it
me feel
did.
better.
Yeah, it made me feel a little bit better. But I still, whenever the AI bot plugin for Chrome that solves the captcha come out, bing, I'll take that, please. Whatever. Screw the security risk of having an AI bot in my Chrome.
I'm just more annoyed that they're going to change the captcha to be even more difficult now. It's going to be like, like a blue dot. Let's like touch the blue dot with the cursor and you're just like spamming the web page. It's definitely going to get more complicated. I don't know what they're going to come up with, but it's going to be something different in the next year.
It'll be a reverse captcha. A reverse captcha where they know it's too hard for us. So if the bot does solve it, then they know it's a bot.
That's good. And then we're just sitting there like, are we supposed to solve this thing?
We're just destroying our self-esteem, going, I can't do this. And it goes, congratulations, you're in.
Nice. All right. This article's made the round. More than a quarter of new code at Google is generated by AI. And this was some sort of bombshell. Set up a lot of different chats at my company about it. Few hot takes. I won't claim to have come up with this, but one of the best ones that I heard was, we've been having code completion in our IDEs for a long time, and that definitely helped cut down on the engineers that were needed. Like we might have gone from a team of 10 to maybe a team of 8, right? With all of the IDE tools that are available to us. AI is just another IDE tool. And if it was that big of an improvement, you would have seen the changes already. It just hasn't happened, right? Those teams are already running pretty efficiently, and adding this tool is not like, oh, we were at 10, now we're at 8, now we're at 5. That's not what's happening, right? Also, the fact that all of those auto completions might be getting picked up as AI generated code, right?
That was the argument I heard. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was from a Google engineer. I might have been on Reddit or LinkedIn, who said, yeah, I would say 25% of my code is generated. It's not like I write 75% and then I go, okay, Gemini, go write this bit for me, and like, and I don't even look at it. He's like, no, if I'm writing, yeah, it's like you just said, I'm leveraging the Copilot to make me faster. Thus, it gets credit for 25% of the code. But there's no straight up pure AI generated code almost at all.
Yes, everything has to be changed a little bit.
Mm.
All
It's
right.
like when I write a blog.
Yeah, exactly. All right, on to Canada. Canada is in the news for winding down TikTok's operations. It's a really interesting article. So there is an investment act in Canada, and at any point, the Canadian Security Council can go in and analyze a business and shut it down for national security reasons. They did that. They're ordering TikTok to wind down. TikTok's gonna, sue them, bring them to court. But there's almost no information. And it's very weird. It's like they wanted to avoid the massive blowback that the US got for suggesting it when all the, Gen Zers were like, no, don't take away our TikTok, right? And Biden was thinking about it. Canada decided to do it.
Yeah.
But they did it very quietly, and they still haven't blocked access to the app.
Yeah. And I went all the way to the bottom of this, and that's the last thing it says is like, okay, they just stopped them. They did an investigation. I guess they found bad stuff, pretty bad stuff, I guess, if they like went, all right, you guys all have to go. So I don't know.
Champagne's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment seeking details of what evidence led the government's dissolution demand, how long ByteDance has to comply, and why the app is not being banned. No comment. Just dissolve your business. Go elsewhere. Which is kind of crazy because they're going to dissolve their business, move all of those jobs out of Canada, but then the app still runs. It's like kind of the worst of all the situations.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe like levy a heavy fine unless they change their security posture of their app and stop like pulling all this information out of people's phones. I don't know. But
yeah, I feel like the app is more dangerous than the company, but what do I know? I don't know what they found. So who knows? We will be shrouded in mystery until somebody says something, but we'll bring it to you at some point in the show if that ever happens.
We will. All right. That's 10 articles from yours truly on a Sunday, no doubt. So make sure you hit the bell and subscribe so you know we're going live.
Yeah. I'm Steve. He is Mike. And thanks once again for watching Wired In.